What's up, guys? Back here on the show, visiting with Kevin McPherson from Hogville.net, Hawk Hoops Insider. And Kevin, when we begin with this portion of this 30-minute edition of the Pig Trail, we have to talk about the fact that Mason Jones just picked up All-America honors. Your take on this, where he landed on that All-America list in terms of honorable mention honors, and just the season he had overall.
Yeah, the Associated Press on Friday, Drew, released its All-American selections, 5 players for the first, second, and third teams, and then there was a 5-player honorable mention list, and Mason Jones landed on the honorable mention list along with another SEC player, Emmanuel Quickly. We know both of those guys got some version of co-SEC Player of the Year. Quickly got the coach's pick, and Mason Jones shared as a co-player in the Associated Press's version with Reggie Perry of Mississippi State, but both of those guys were the only 2 SEC players to make any of those 20 selections on the AP All-American team. You know, I've seen a lot of folks on social media, even some other, local sports analysts chime in and say they felt like Jones maybe deserved to be at least on the third team. I think there's some relevancy to that opinion when you look at the fact that, he not only led the SEC in scoring at 22 points per game, that ranked him 8th in the country. He led the nation in free throws attempted, and transition scoring at 6 points per game. There's a lot of stuff when you looked at the 9 30-point games, the 2 40-point games that made him, the only SEC player to do those, to reach those kind of numbers like he did in volume, in the last 20 or 30 years. He was the only player in the SEC to lead his team in scoring, rebounds, assists, and steals. So, and he's still one of 5 finalists for the Jerry West Award, which honors the nation's top shooting guard. So there's a lot of reasons to think maybe he deserved a little better than honorable mention, but that's where he landed. Big season for Mason Jones, as we know. Arkansas finishes 20-12, still had a chance to play its way in the NCAA tournament, but Mason Jones was, tops on the team in all those categories. But a guy that meant a lot to the Razorbacks when Isaiah Joe was out, is he kept Arkansas in games and gave them a chance to win every night.
About a minute on this. He has tweeted that a decision is coming soon. What do you make of this tweet?
Well, you know how social media can be. Maybe he's being cryptic and referring to something more playful, but it probably means that he's going to make a decision on whether he's going to return to Arkansas or pursue his professional career. Soon could be any day now, I guess, or, maybe we wait a week or so. But Mason Jones is a guy that really, we just talked about all the reasons how he really put himself on the map nationally. The iron's hot for him, so if he makes the decision to go pro, you have to understand that. I think there are plenty of reasons for him to come back to Arkansas. As good as he was offensively, I think he could become a better defender. I also think, some leadership qualities that we started to emerge this season could be fine-tuned with a senior season at Arkansas. So, Drew, this will be fascinating for our Razorback fans. With all the stoppage in sports right now, the transfer portal's going, and players are making decisions as to whether or not they're going to jump in that or maybe jump to the pros.
Yeah, let's close with about a minute 30 on the transfer portal. It is hot and heavy, as you mentioned. A couple of names to throw out there. Amari Hardy. Familiarity, that's huge because Eric Musselman's so familiar with this guy out of UNLV that was recruited by the previous staff at Arkansas. You look at Matthias Markussen, 7'3" guy out of Loyola Marymount.
Yeah, Hardy was a guy that took an official visit to Arkansas in April 2017 when the previous coaching staff was here. And, in the November period, they'd signed Daniel Gafford, Khalil Garland, Darius Hall, was probably arguably the best recruiting haul in the early period for Mike Anderson. And then Amari Hardy was a guy, a 4-star out of Detroit, Michigan, they brought in April, he just decommitted from Oklahoma State. They tried to get him a couple of weeks later. He ends up committing and signing with UNLV. Now, he's already graduated. He'll a grad transfer 3 after his junior season, but a guy that averaged 14.5 points this past season, over 3 assists and 3 rebounds per game. But against Musselman, when Musselman was at Nevada in his freshman and sophomore seasons, he faced Musselman's Nevada teams 5 times out in the Mountain West, and as a sophomore in 2 games, he averaged 18 points and 3 assists in those matchups. So Musselman's very familiar with him and has probably seen him near or at his best in some games that they went head-to-head. And then you just mentioned Markussen, a 7'3" big man. I think Eric Musselman has a sweet tooth for versatile big men that are 7 feet or taller. We know he got Connor Vanover in last year out of the portal. I know that he's looking at another 7-footer that's just recently got in the portal. But Markinson's a guy that Arkansas has reached out to, 7'3", over 260 pounds, more of a traditional big, but a guy that would be a grad transfer and have a season of immediate playing eligibility.
Great stuff, Kevin, and a guy that Kevin has written a lot about, indeed, Devontae Davis out of Jacksonville. He has signed with the Hogs. He is in the show as well after this.